All right, let's jump into another deep dive. Today we're tackling Brianna Wiest's "The Mountain Is You," but with a little twist.
Oh,
We're going to be looking at a poetic summary that someone put together that really captures the essence of the book.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
So you might be thinking, why poetry, right? Well, it often speaks to us, on a deeper level, an emotional level, and can help us understand these, sometimes tough concepts in a way that really, really sticks.
It's true. I think poetry has this unique ability to um, distill complex ideas into something that's both beautiful and thought-provoking.
Right.
And in this case, I think it really helps make Weist's exploration of self-sabotage and inner growth even more accessible.
Totally. So let's start with the central metaphor,
But
the mountain. What does this mountain represent in the book and in this poem?
so the mountain is like this visual representation of all those internal roadblocks that we all face.
Yeah.
Those fears, bad habits, those limiting beliefs that kind of whisper in your ear that you're not good enough, that you can't do it, it's all of that rolled into one.
And the poem really paints this, vivid picture with lines like, "In the shadowed valleys of your soul, there stands a mountain towering whole." I can almost feel the weight of it.
Right.
But why do we create these mountains in the first place? I mean, why do we self-sabotage even when we know it's not good for us? It seems counterintuitive.
It's a question that Wiest really digs into, and the poem hints at it with lines like, why do we run when the summit glows? Why do we cling to the chains we know?
Hmm.
A lot of times it boils down to fear, but fear can wear so many masks.
Yeah.
It could be fear of failure, fear of success, even fear of the unknown.
It's not as simple as just saying, "Oh, I just lack willpower," or "I'm not motivated enough."
No, not at all.
There's a deeper reason behind it.
It's so much deeper than that. Think about it. If you have this deep belief that you're not worthy of love, you might find yourself sabotaging relationships before they even have a chance to blossom,
Right.
you know? Because in a way, you're protecting yourself from potential heartbreak, even if it means you end up alone.
It's like our subconscious is trying to protect us from getting hurt, even if it ends up, hurting us in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. And the poem links this back to the mountain metaphor, talking about the caverns where our truths hide.
Yeah.
These are the past experiences, the traumas, the unhealed wounds that shape our beliefs and how we act.
So how does the poem suggest we tackle this mountain of self-sabotage? Do we just kind of bulldoze our way through? What's the approach?
Oh, it doesn't say to just power through.
Yeah.
The poem uses words like reckoning, facing the inner storm.
Yeah.
It makes it clear that this struggle is part of growth, but healing and self-discovery require uh, a different kind of approach.
So it's more about understanding the mountain than just trying to conquer it through sheer force.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. There's this line, "The storm is not your foe, it's the voice of wounds you've yet to know," which I think really captures what's the central idea. We need to get curious about those self-sabotaging behaviors and the emotional wounds that fuel them.
Instead of just seeing those difficult emotions as enemies, as things to avoid, we should actually try to understand what they're trying to tell us.
Exactly. And the poem offers a really interesting perspective on emotions. It suggests that instead of, bottling them up or ignoring them, we should actually see them as guides on this climb.
There's that line that goes, "On this climb, emotions are your stars, each one a lantern in the endless night."
Huh.
So we shouldn't fear or judge our emotions, but rather listen to them.
I think that's a really powerful takeaway. Like, think about it. Imagine you're feeling super anxious about a big presentation at work, right? Instead of beating yourself up for feeling anxious, you could ask yourself, what is this anxiety trying to tell me?
Yeah.
Maybe it's a sign that you need to uh, prepare a bit more or delegate some tasks, or maybe even reconsider if this presentation aligns with your values.
That's a good point. It's about reframing how we think about our emotions and seeing them as valuable sources of information rather than these negative things we need to avoid.
Yes, exactly. And it all comes back to Wiest's main message of self-acceptance. It's about understanding that our emotions, even the messy ones,
Mm.
are part of what makes us human.
Yeah.
They can actually become powerful allies in our growth if we learn to listen to them.
This is giving me a lot to think about. So far, we've talked about the mountain, the challenge of self-sabotage, the importance of really leaning into our emotions. But what about reaching the top? What does it mean to reach the summit of this, metaphorical mountain.
Well, that's where things get really interesting. The poem kind of challenges the traditional idea of the summit as this final destination.
Okay.
In this context, I think the summit represents more of a state of being rather than a specific achievement.
So it's not about checking off a bunch of boxes or hitting certain milestones.
Yeah.
It's bigger than that.
It's definitely bigger than that. It's about reaching a state of self-awareness, self-acceptance, and ultimately transformation.
But how do we get there? What are the steps involved in reaching that state of transformation?
The poem highlights the importance of really examining the stories we tell ourselves. There's a line that says, "What stories have you told yourself at dawn? What lies have kept your true self withdrawn?" And I think that's so powerful.
Right, it's like we're being asked to look at the narratives we've created about ourselves, about what we can and can't do, about what we deserve.
Exactly. And to challenge those narratives, especially the ones that hold us back, that's where the real transformation begins.
So it's about identifying those limiting beliefs and kind of rewriting the script.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
It's about replacing those negative self-talk tapes with empowering beliefs,
Mm.
understanding that we have the power to shape our own reality, both internally and externally.
And as we do that, the poem suggests that the mountain itself actually starts to change.
Yeah.
There's a line that says, "The mountain shifts as your spirit grows. Its jagged edges soften like prose."
Right. It's like as we heal those inner wounds, as we confront our fears and limiting beliefs, the landscape of our inner world becomes less treacherous.
It's not about conquering the mountain. It's about transforming it, transforming ourselves along the way. But this makes me wonder, what happens once we've reached the summit? Do we just, coast from there?
Well, that's where the final part of the poem comes in, and it offers a really crucial perspective on growth and self-discovery. It reminds us that reaching a state of self-awareness, it's not the end of the journey. It's not like we plant a flag and we're done.
Right.
There's still so much more to explore.
So there's more to it than just reaching this state of self-awareness, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's about, taking those lessons, that new understanding of yourself and weaving it into your everyday life. The poem talks about building a life where your soul can sing, where every choice makes the heavens ring.
It's like creating a life that really feels true to you, where your actions match up with what you believe in.
Exactly. And a lot of times that means letting go of the things that are no longer serving you,
Okay.
like old habits, limiting beliefs, even relationships that just drain your energy.
Right.
The poem puts it beautifully. Let go of what no longer serves your flame. Honor your worth. Reclaim your name.
It's like we've reached the top of the mountain and now we're going through our backpacks and tossing out all that unnecessary weight we've been carrying around for who knows how long.
That's a great analogy. It's
Okay.
about creating space for new experiences, new connections, new ways of being that are more in tune with who you really are. And it's an ongoing thing.
So it's not like you reach this point where you've arrived and you can just relax and coast.
No, not at all. The poem reminds us over and over that growth is a journey. It's not a destination.
There's always going to be new stuff to figure out, new challenges to face.
Exactly. But the more we dive into this process of self-discovery and growth,
Yeah.
the better we become at handling those challenges.
It's like the poem's telling us that the mountain isn't the enemy, it's actually a teacher.
Yes.
It's there to guide us towards a deeper understanding of ourselves.
I love that.
And, speaking of understanding ourselves, before the break, we were talking about how important it is to really get to know our emotions, to see them as allies instead of something to be afraid of.
Right. Remember those lines? On this climb, emotions are your stars. Each one a lantern in the endless night. They can illuminate the path forward if we let them.
But sometimes those emotions can feel really intense,
Yeah.
they can be tough to face. How do we actually use them as guides without getting completely overwhelmed?
Well, you've already hit on one of the most important tools, understanding.
Hmm.
Really paying attention to what those emotions are trying to communicate. Let's say you keep putting off a project, for example.
Procrastinating happens to the best of us.
Exactly. Instead of just getting frustrated with yourself, ask yourself, what's the emotion behind this procrastination? Am I afraid of failing? Do I feel overwhelmed? Maybe I'm just not clear on what needs to be done. Once you pinpoint that underlying feeling, you can start to deal with it in a more effective way.
So instead of trying to push those emotions away, we should actually get curious about them and try to figure out what they're trying to tell us.
Precisely. And that's where Weist's work is so valuable. She gives us this framework for understanding the different ways we self-sabotage and the emotional wounds that are often at the root of those patterns.
The poem also talks about facing our inner demons. What does that mean in the context of personal growth?
Yeah, those demons, they represent the deep-seated fears, the limiting beliefs, the negative self-talk that keeps us playing small. They can come from all sorts of places.
Yeah.
Past experiences, maybe things that happened in childhood, even just the messages we pick up from society.
So it's not enough to just acknowledge our emotions. We need to actually dig deeper and figure out where those negative patterns come from.
Absolutely. It's like having weeds in a garden. If you just keep trimming the tops, they'll keep growing back. You got to get down there and pull them out by the roots.
I like that. That's a great analogy. So how do we go about facing those demons and yanking them out by the roots?
Well, it's a process, and it can be uncomfortable at times.
Yeah.
But the poem offers some guidance. Remember that line, every crack lets in light?
Yeah, it's like even those painful experiences, the cracks in our foundation, they can actually become opportunities for growth and insight if we're willing to look at them with courage and compassion.
Exactly. It all starts with awareness. We have to recognize those negative thought patterns and behaviors and then start asking ourselves, where's this coming from?
Mhm.
Journaling can be helpful, therapy, even mindfulness practices. They can all be really powerful tools for exploring our inner world.
So it's not about trying to erase those tough experiences or pretend they never happened. It's about understanding their impact and making a conscious choice to heal.
Precisely. And a huge part of healing is rewriting those old narratives, challenging those limiting beliefs and replacing them with ones that empower us.
Can you give an example of what that might look like in real life?
Sure. Let's say someone has this deeply ingrained belief that they're not good enough, maybe stemming from a childhood where they were constantly criticized.
So as an adult, that belief might show up as self-sabotage in their career or relationships.
Exactly. They might avoid taking risks, downplay their accomplishments, even push away people who are trying to get close to them. It's like they're subconsciously trying to shield themselves from the pain of rejection or disappointment, even if it means staying stuck in this cycle of self-doubt.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking, really. But there are ways to break free from these patterns. Affirmations can be a powerful tool. Repeating positive statements like, I am worthy, I am capable, can start to rewire those neural pathways and create new beliefs.
So it's about intentionally replacing those negative self-talk tapes with messages that lift us up.
Exactly. But it's not just about saying the words. It's about truly embodying those new beliefs. It's about taking actions that align with them, even if it feels a little scary at first.
So we have to push ourselves outside our comfort zones and do things that challenge those old limiting beliefs.
Yes. And as we do that, as we start living in a way that's true to ourselves, the poem suggests that even the mountain itself begins to transform.
Right. There's that line that says, the mountain shifts as your spirit grows. Its jagged edges soften like prose.
Isn't that beautiful? It's like as we heal and evolve, our inner landscape becomes less intimidating, less treacherous. The climb doesn't seem so daunting anymore.
So it's not just about reaching the summit, it's about changing the mountain itself.
Exactly. And remember, this transformation, it's a continuous process. There are always going to be new challenges, new fears to face, new beliefs to dismantle.
It's like they say, life is a journey, not a destination.
That's it. But the more we engage in this journey of self-discovery and growth, the better equipped we become to navigate the inevitable ups and downs.
It's like the poem is reminding us that the mountain isn't our adversary, it's actually our guide on this path to self-awareness and transformation.
Beautifully said. And on that note, we're going to take another quick pause. When we come back, we'll explore the last part of the poem and delve into what it means to truly live beyond the climb. Stay with us. It really does feel like we are stepping into a whole new perspective, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. And I'm intrigued by this idea of living beyond the climb. Like, if we've put in all this effort to heal and grow and reach this, this metaphorical summit, what comes after that?
Right.
What's next?
I think the poem is urging us to sort of, reframe what it means to live a truly fulfilling life. Like remember those lines, success is not a crown to wear, but a quiet knowing, a breath of air.
So it's not about reaching some huge, externally defined goal.
Right. It's about a deeper, more internal kind of success. It's about that feeling of peace and alignment that comes from living in a way that's true to your values, your purpose.
It's like we've climbed this mountain, we're standing at the top, we're taking in this amazing view, but then we realize the journey isn't over.
Yeah.
It's just evolving.
It's taking a new shape. Yeah, and it's about, integrating those lessons we've learned, that new self-awareness into how we live every single day. There's that line about building a life where your soul can sing, where every choice makes the heavens ring.
It's about creating a life that feels authentic and meaningful, where what we do actually reflects what we believe.
Yes, exactly. And that often means letting go of things that no longer fit, you know? Those old habits, limiting beliefs, even relationships that drain our energy. Like the poem says, let go of what no longer serves your flame. Honor your worth, reclaim your name.
It's like we've made it to the summit and now we're emptying our backpacks, getting rid of all that extra weight we've been lugging around.
Exactly. It's about making space for new experiences, new connections, new ways of being that are more in line with our true selves. And it's something we keep doing. It's not a one-time thing.
Right. It's not like we reach this point where we've arrived and we can just stop putting in the effort.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Growth is an ongoing journey. There are always going to be new challenges, new mountains to climb, new parts of ourselves to discover.
There's a line in the poem that really stuck with me. The mountain is you. Its roots, its heights, its endless vistas, its starlit nights. And as you walk through the world anew, you'll find the world mirrors the mountain in you. It's saying that how we see the world around us is shaped by our own inner world.
That's so powerful, isn't it?
Right.
As we change, as we heal and grow, the world seems to reflect that transformation back to us.
So if we're carrying a lot of, inner turmoil and negativity, we're more likely to see the world as a negative place.
I think that's very possible.
Mm.
But on the flip side, if we're nurturing inner peace,
Mhm.
self-love, compassion, we're more likely to see the world as a place of beauty and connection, even abundance.
It's like we're always creating our own reality with our thoughts and beliefs and actions.
Yeah, exactly. And that brings us to a really important question. What does all of this mean for us right here, right now? What's your personal mountain? What are you facing today?
And maybe even more importantly, what's one small step you can take today to start climbing that mountain? To face that challenge, to move towards a life that feels more fulfilling, more aligned with who you truly are.
I think it's important to remember that it doesn't have to be some huge, overwhelming thing. You know,
Right, right.
it can start with a simple act of self-care, a moment of mindfulness, a commitment to challenge one negative thought. It can be as simple as that.
And you don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to have this perfect plan. Just taking that first step and trusting the process, that's where the magic happens.
Yeah, because even the tiniest step can have a ripple effect that leads to incredible transformation.
Well, this has been a truly eye-opening deep dive. I feel like I have a whole new understanding of what it means to embrace this journey of self-discovery and growth.
And remember, you're not alone on this path. There are so many resources out there, communities, individuals who can support you along the way. Brianna Wiest's work is a fantastic place to start. And, this poetic summary that we've been exploring, I think it really captures the essence of her message beautifully.
I completely agree. Thank you so much for joining us on this exploration of The Mountain Is You. And until next time, keep climbing, keep exploring, and keep embracing that amazing power you have to create a life that truly reflects your highest potential.